How about budget projector that is actually 1080p, right? Hey guys, are you looking for budget projector capable of 1080p? And I mean 1080p as a resolution, not as the playback resolution which most of those devices advertise. For example, Amazon is full of inexpensive projectors that advertise 1080p, but in fact they don't have that as a native resolution, and they just boast the playback capabilities which often span up to 4K. So how about the true 1080p resolution? Well, this is where Yaber comes in, because they reached out to me and sent me their own Yaber V9 Pro, a budget solution for 1080p projection. But there is one thing that I have to address first. When they reached out to me, they stipulated the price for the V9 Pro is going to be around £200. However, if you open the description of this video and click on the Amazon link, you'll notice that the projector is advertised for £359, which completely changes the scope of the review. So what's going on? Because that obviously changes the way I should look at things and compare the projector to different models than I initially had. Turns out that their marketing strategy is to add a £100 voucher via Amazon and then introduce you to additional coupon codes, which are going to be listed in the description, which will bring the price, the total price of the V9 Pro, to around 220-ish, which is within the scope of what they told me. I don't know why they're doing this way, but again, I'm a review/influencer, I'm not running a marketing department. With this out of the way, let's actually talk about the projector. First, a pleasant surprise, because it comes with a backpack. I mean, seriously, I was quite surprised, but it's not a silly idea. Even though the projector doesn't have a battery, so you can't be truly portable, you need a source of power, it's wrapped in a backpack instead of having all that protective foam instead. And I actually don't mind, even though I'm not going to take my projector anywhere. The backpack's gonna be handy to put my camera in, a couple of gadgets when I'm going to go out and cycle or for a short trek. But camping tips aside, let's focus on the projector itself, as it's included in a box with a couple of cleaning accessories, power lead and infrared remote. From the product pictures, I can never tell how big these things gonna be, and it is sizable, although it's not very heavy. I mean, what's impressive is the lens up front, which is massive, given its LCD 1080p display, but overall impressions are positive. At the front, apart from the lens, we're also gonna find a small lens or sensor responsible for key stunning and autofocus, so that's nice to have. Now, if we flip the projector at the back and look at the I/O, it reveals actually quite a rich panel. We have two HDMI ports, so you'll be able to feed two different sources. There are two USB-A ports, those are 2.0, so you'll be able to either power up a external small streaming box or something like that, or sideload your content, because the projector will support various media formats too. Next up we have AB, which is your audio-video composite port, which no one ever gonna use, and a 3.5mm jack if you want to route your audio out. You'll notice also that there are two 5-watt speakers at the back, however I'm gonna give them a chance when evaluating the sound. On the side panels we have vents, and you can remove one of them to clear out the filter, and the power lead. And this is my first critique. On a projector like that, you probably want to handle all the cables at the back. And despite having so much empty space at the back, the power lead is in the side, making it nearly impossible to hide it. Now, if they only included 90-degree bend leads, so you could kind of manage it in a better way, unfortunately, you are stuck with the lead you've got unless you're gonna buy one yourself. As I said, they've included a remote controller, so you could control it from a far away. However, if you jam this between your sofa pillows and you can't find it, you can actually use the buttons on the top to control the projector, because it has a complete set of buttons. At this point I would probably flip the projector upside down and talk you all about it, however we're gonna get to this as well. So those 220-ish pounds, what do they give you? Is the projector any good? Let's start with the basic. It's a LCD-based projector with 1080p native resolution that comes with Wi-Fi connectivity and supports Wi-Fi 6. Surprisingly, it has also Bluetooth, so you can connect the audio via Bluetooth, and it comes with convenient features like auto keystoning, auto focusing, a built-in option to stream your media from the USB stick, and cast your display wirelessly. But what Yaber V9 Pro isn't, it's one of those smart projectors. It doesn't have any advanced features, so there is no like Android box inside that you could sideload your Netflix app, etc. to enable additional features. The Wi-Fi is there, but you can only use it with Miracast or the Apple equivalent, whatever it's called. But that's pretty much all the Wi-Fi is for. It boasts 500 ANSI lumens brightness, which is brighter than the projector I'm using. There is a review in here about my Xiaomi DLP projector that I'm going to compare it to. So it should be good for cloudy days, but probably not good enough for sunny days. So overall, I have to say that the feature list is pretty long for the projector in that price range. Everything been okay so far, so let's have a whinge. First, it's the remote control, which the shell is being used from another design. I can tell because there is a mic at the back, which, well, it doesn't really have a mic because it's an infrared. They probably borrowed the design from a Bluetooth controller, and obviously it uses infrared. Now, I expected infrared to cause any issues because the infrared diode is located at the back, but the signal bounces all over the room, so it's actually not that bad. But what's really annoying to me is that the back button should have been that big keystone button instead, and every time I want to back out of the menu I press the keystone instead, and I'll have to wait until that's all it's done. And yeah, it took me a while to unlearn my habits from my previous remote. And as projector has Wi-Fi and allows you to browse files on the USB drives, I kind of wish there was an option for DLNA streaming, so you could either browse the DLNA source or your network attached storage to look for your files without sideloading them on the USB stick and plugging it in. Unfortunately, it's not possible, which is a shame. Now, speaking of that dongle, this is Wi-Fi 6, and I actually have Wi-Fi 6 routers at home. I have a mesh of them, so they are pretty good, especially that I only have two devices that support Wi-Fi 6. Now, Yaber V9 Pro is my third device. There is no way this bandwidth is congested, and I was looking forward to take advantage of Miracast streaming and screen sharing, so I could actually try it this way. Unfortunately, that feature was, well, inconsistent. I had good sessions in which I would stream the desktop from my computer to the projector, and I would act accordingly with reasonable latency. And I was quite happy with it. But that experience was inconsistent. Next time I've tried that, I had an incredible pixelation because of the bandwidth drop, and there was no activity on my network that would explain this. I recently reviewed the Screencast Pro, and I had such a better experience screencasting to that device rather than to the projector itself. And while we're on the subject of streaming, this is Miracast, which means it's HDCP not certified. If you're planning on streaming from Amazon Prime or Netflix and similar services, they will complain about your output not being HDCP certified and are likely not to stream your content at all. You'll be fine with sharing your desktop, you're watching YouTube, playing games, but when it comes to those protected services, you're not in luck. And while we're speaking about this, I also come across a situation when I would connect the projector via HDMI and try to share my desktop on it via HDMI and then stream the Amazon Prime content, and then Amazon Prime would still complain about the projector not being HDCP certified. I don't really understand why. It would limit the playback to 480p, which was horrible, but as soon as I swapped to Google Cast, it didn't have a problem with it, and I could cast whatever I wanted, whether it's using Amazon Prime or other sources. So I'm not 100% sure what happened, and I can't really explain that behavior, but it's something that I've experienced. Let's talk about the picture and screen size. My first idea for this projector was to put it in a bedroom. I have a dedicated over-the-head shelf, which I mounted specifically at the height that would accommodate my previous projector. As soon as I did that, I realized that this projector doesn't shoot up or down, it shoots directly straight, which means your screen will expand in every direction, up, down, left, on, right, equally. So bear that in mind when attempting to mount the projector at the correct height. After a couple of days of being creative and propping it with a remote controller from my previous projector to correct for that, I discovered also that at the back of the projector, here, there is a thumb screw that you can unscrew and actually use it to adjust the angle. Bonus points, if you remove the screw entirely, you'll be able to use it as a 1/4-inch tripod mount. So if you fancy projecting this from a tripod, this is how you do it. Of course I am a reviewer, come on, this is professional. Once the projector was in place and everything was adjusted, I discovered that at 2 meters and 20 centimeters, the distance from the projector to my wall, it was giving me 75" of a screen on which I could enjoy the content. That was 10 inches smaller than my Xiaomi. It was 10 inches smaller than my Xiaomi DLP projector, but to be honest, 75 inches at that size, it's decent. And this is where I strongly recommend you to actually sit down for a second and think about the projector placement, because the keystoning feature is nice, however, keystoning will reduce the actual projected resolution of your box. And this is where the math may let you down. Obviously, the entire projection is going to be shrinked, so that can cause imperfection when it comes to pixel scaling. And there is another thing, the focus steps, which can be overridden with the remote, they're quite big, which means I found the position of the projector to kind of fall in between 2 steps, and I had to shift the projector a couple of centimeters to complement that. And finally, after all that tricking, I was ready to evaluate the picture. At 75 inches, the resolution of 1080p is just fine. I mean, it's not going to be jaw-dropping 4K, however, you're gonna enjoy the projection. After moving very close to the surface of projection, I've noticed a small chromatic aberration, especially visible on the white text, but it's not something that you're gonna notice in your normal viewing. I have to say that the picture is quite bright, however the weakest part of it are reproduction of dark color. It tends to blend various shades of brown and black together, resulting in a loss of detail. The issue is especially pronounced when characters are wearing black clothes and have a darker skin. Thankfully, the projector's handy quick menus allow for on-the-fly adjustments to the picture and sound. You can choose from dedicated template settings or make manual tweaks for brightness, contrast, sharpness and color. While you might not be able to fix all the issues, you'll be definitely able to mitigate some of them thanks to those settings. After a couple of films, it was time to plug in a game, because I could not game on DLP projectors thanks to the insane input lag, so my projector wasn't a go. However, with this one, gaming is definitely possible. It's a LCD projection, so input latency is actually pretty small. Don't get me wrong, if you're playing games that Twitch-like responses are mandatory, you're not going to probably win any prizes. However, I had fun in several different games, including Kerbal Space Program 2, Witcher, Spider-Man, even though Witcher was running really terrible on my laptop for some reason, and Counter-Strike Go. I mean, you have to give me a credit. I was playing against bots with my mouse resting on a pillow. But overall, I really had a good time, and unless you are into competitive gaming, I mean, come on, you wouldn't be using a projector for that, right? So if you're looking for a gaming projector to play some party games and enjoy your game on a bigger screen, it's definitely could work. We've got the pictures covered, we've got the games covered, I think it's time to talk about sound. I was worried about the speakers located at the back, because realistically speaking, you're going to push the projector as far back into the room as possible, making those speakers face the wall. However, the speakers are quite loud and actually fill the room with sound okay, and I didn't complain about the direction of the sound either, so that's a plus. What I did complain was about the quality of the speakers, because they are mainly kind of focused on the mid-tones, there's very little of high tones, and the bass is muddy as hell. Reboot from CM4, so check out this video if you're interested.
Severe included PCM CIA slots. Apple's allergy to expansion evidently hadn't developed yet.
It's actually have a proper video about it, and there was a couple of reasons for that. The first reason was, well, I only had one compute module for board. When I initially placed the projector in my bedroom, it was around a meter from my head next to my other projector. And honestly, it was almost unbearable. It's not because it was loud, but it was just loud enough to ruin that intimate setting. So if you're looking for a projector that could probably end up in your bedroom and cast on the wall next to your bed, this is not it. However, in the living room, the sound of the projector would be drowned out by the everyday sounds of your household, maybe kids playing around and everything, and that wouldn't be so much of an issue. So when it comes to sound, you're probably gonna do two things. First, not going to use this projector in an absolutely quiet room at night, because that's not going to be the greatest experience. And second, you will look into options of getting additional speakers. Check out the majority audio video in here. Now, whether you're gonna connect them via Bluetooth or the 3.5mm jack plug that is located at the back of the unit, that's up to you. But I would strongly recommend you to get a custom sound, because the difference, it's worth it. I think it's time for conclusion, and I have a message to Yaber. I would very much like them to omit the Wi-Fi 6, get rid of that, even drop the built-in speakers and use that safe budget to improve the picture quality and try to minimize the noise. That way they would produce a really nice unit that could be sold at similar price with a competitive edge over the other projectors. After all, budget projection doesn't have to have a huge list of features just for the sake of having features. And I would happily settle down for a projector that does things okay, even if the feature list isn't as impressive. Ultimately, your choice will depend on your budget and your expectations. If you're looking for a projector for the bedroom, this is not it. But if you want a party projection in a living room with your friends, playing a couple of games and keep the kids entertained, this is a pretty good choice, as long as you can forgive weird pricing. Granted, all that saved money you're gonna spend on extra speakers and a couple of streaming dongles to enable this projector to actually work wirelessly with different services, but that's what you have to deal with. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. As usual, you know that in the description you're gonna find all the information that you'll ever care for. So if you enjoyed this video, do let me know. And I do not have a posting schedule. You know how YouTube works. Don't have to explain you that. I have a couple of social media listed down below, so go ahead, connect with me, start a conversation going, and I'll see you there. Take care. Bye. I hope that's something that could be addressed. Yeah, the lights. It's like a pit stop.